Here's a man of action. Glenn Davis running for lieutenant governor, trying to get the Republican nomination. There's 3 people in the race. Glenn Davis, House of Delegates member, Virginia Beach, state senator from the Valley, Joe Vogel, and state senator from Stafford, Fredericksburg area, Bryce Reeves. Glenn Davis, good to have you, man.
John, good to be on the show, and I'm excited. You're going to talk some sense into some of Washington liberals I just heard. Getting the station out that way.
We're really working on it, and we like to, obviously getting an affiliate there is a game changer for us because we lost our affiliate in Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia back in, I guess it was 2014, so hopefully I can get picked up there. We're working on it. Can't give you any details. I might jinx it, but good things are happening. Glenn Davis, and let's go to just get your thoughts here on Trump's opening day. What do you think?
John, I was elated. I had a chance. I wasn't at ground zero like you were, but I had a chance to be down there at the inaugural. The energy was amazing. The people's hope in the future of our country was tremendous, and obviously, I think you and I would agree, we haven't seen it in a very long time. My wife picked up a few phrases and words that I don't think she ever thought she was going to hear out in public. We waited 3 hours to get through security. You know the protesters and some of the stuff that was going on, and I felt really bad for the families. We had a family behind us, a mother and father with about 5 daughters, anywhere from about 10 to 16, and I felt bad that this was their first inauguration, and they had to undergo some of the treatments and hear some of the things they heard. But once we got through that security line, it was just tremendous, and it really was what America's all about.
Fantastic, no question about it.
And that speech from Trump, you could not have ended it any better, John. Not just from what he said, but how he said it and the passion that he said it. This is about America first. I'll be the first to tell you, I think that Barack Obama thought what was best for the world was best for America, and we have now President Trump that believes what's best for Americans is what's best for America. And it's going to be a night and day, game changer.
No doubt about it. You look at the flurry of activity here on opening day, it's kind of crazy and it's exciting. And of course, we can't expect this wave 5 days a week, but he's probably going to get darn close to it. I can't wait to a State of the Union, which I'll be there live in D.C. for that. We're looking forward to that. Glenn, tell us about your campaign. Give us an update.
John, the campaign has been going wonderfully. We've talked about the trip to Estonia. We've talked about all the stuff right before the new year. Obviously, now, my main concentration is doing the people's business in the General Assembly. We've got 15 bills, because we're maxed out at 15, that almost all of them deal with helping small businesses and tax reform and things that I told you, I'm passionate about and I've been doing since I was first elected to serve up here. But we're still campaigning. I've got Millie Yellow. People are surprised when they're like, you still campaign? And I tell people, my day starts usually before 7, because come 7, we're in subcommittee or committee or some stuff is going on. But come, 6 o'clock at night, the people's business is typically over, and I'm on Millie Yellow. We're hitting out the Rockingham or Dinwiddie or Fairfax. Spreading the message of making Virginia number 1 again for business and job growth doesn't stop because I have to spend my day in the General Assembly. It just means I have to do it at night. And I sleep on the way back into town, and we get up and do it again.
Well, look, it's tough campaigning statewide when you've got 60 days. Glenn Davis in the General Assembly. I got some General Assembly issues coming up for you, but let's start with your campaign. Fundraising numbers came out. Look, Jill Vogel raised over $1 million. No question, a very stout fundraising situation. She's got $500,000 on hand. Bryce Reeves, he raised money, plus he was able to transfer money from his Senate lieutenant governor. He's got $500,000 on hand. Glenn Davis has got $80,000 on hand. So your fundraising's lagging. These two are going to spend a lot of money on TV ads. How are you going to raise the money to compete with them effectively on the airwaves come April and May?
John, that's a great question, but I'll tell you, this is exactly where we plan to be and expected to be at this time frame. If you remember, I filed my first campaign finance report, and I said I wasn't going to raise any money and have any fundraisers until after the election in 2016. So I wasn't taking away money from our congressional candidates and local candidates and the presidency, and unlike my opponents. And I didn't. And we filed, and people said, Glenn, what are you going to do? And I filed with $20,000 in the bank. But we ran a campaign, and we had a good staff, and according to the polls, we were tied for first. Then they couldn't believe how I'm going to make it through the rest of the term. I filed on the 1st of January. We spent about, I want to say it was about $120,000. A lot of that came out of my pocket. And John, like I've said all along, we're running, we have all the resources necessary to run this race. But I spent more time showing people that I'm the right guy for the job, that I can actually create jobs and grow our economy, and not just tell them, look, it's what Donald Trump did. Talk is cheap. Anyone can say this is what they're going to do, and we've seen politicians over and over and over again not do it and not have the ability sometimes to do what they promise. I'm not that type of guy. Before I go make you promises, I'm just not going to tell you what I can do. I'm going to show you. And I got on a plane, went to Estonia. I got on a plane and went to MIT. We are sending coal over to Estonia for testing, which opens up manufacturing jobs, hopefully, in Southwest Virginia. We're working on this partnership with MIT and Southwest Virginia and some universities out there. This is what I need to prove. So that's how you win votes and you win minds and hearts. As far as my fundraising numbers, John, I can't release it yet, but trust me, in a couple of days, and I'd love to release it on your show, no one's going to be concerned about whether or not we're going to have money.
Well, look, that sounds like it's good news for the Glenn Davis campaign. And I think what everybody's realized now with money is you have to have enough to compete, but just because you have the most money doesn't matter. Look at the Jeb Bush for president campaign, right? Raised all that money and didn't make it past New Hampshire. So,
well, even some congressional camps too. I mean, you saw some congressional campaigns, John, that were outraised 10-1 and 1. I don't discount money, but it's like Donald Trump. All along, and you were on the inside, so you know this probably better than anyone. But I don't think he ever said, "I didn't expect to be here," or "This isn't where our plan was supposed to take us." Everything that was happening on the outside, it may look like maybe he's got problems, but on the inside of that campaign, they were probably trending exactly where they wanted. I'll tell you, my campaign, we're trending exactly where I need to be. Like you said, a lot of people didn't think I had a shot in the beginning. I knew I did. The people around me that knew how I work and my desire and what I can do knew I did. But I knew there's things we had to do. And honestly, money gets spent in the last couple of months of a primary. So my biggest goal wasn't to go out there and put $1 million in the bank. Yeah, it sounds good. But what I needed to do was convince voters and convince Virginians that I'm the right guy for the job, and that's what we're seeing in poll numbers.
Well, you're in the hunt. There's no question about it. I've got this thing at three-way dead heat. Any of these, yourself, Vogel, or Reeves can win. Maybe somebody else gets in that race. It's getting kind of late, but I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen, especially when you look at the email scandal that's gone on. Reeves, I've got him on my show tomorrow, likely to file a lawsuit. It's going to continue on. There's going to be baiting back and forth between Reeves and Vogel, and we'll see what plays out. But it's not a good thing for them. That's the way I look at it.
No, and John, I'll tell you, technically, when it comes to the race of me versus those two, we've kind of won. You've seen their message. They've pivoted off of guns, they've pivoted off of bathrooms, they've pivoted off of all their other initial issues, and now it's all about who can be the best business guy, who's the best one to grow jobs and grow the economy. And their consultants have tried to make them into Glenn Davis. So as long as I can be the best Glenn Davis of the three of us, we win. And like I said, Newco did do so good against the Coke Classic, and I expect it to be the same when it comes to me.
Okay, so I've got a question here from Joe in Richmond who says, ask Glenn Davis how he's going to reconcile his vote in favor of Medicaid expansion in 2013 as we get closer to the election. He's certainly going to be hit on that in mailers. How do you respond to that?
John, some of my biggest supporters right now were people that called me with that same issue. I had a number of people that have called me over the months, and look, you're on the inside, you know how this works. And Medicaid expansion is a hot button topic. And so they call me, Glenn, I would, but. And after about a 5 to 10 minute phone call, Glenn, you got my endorsement, and we flipped a lot of people. Because here's the deal. I voted against Medicaid expansion. When the governor sent down his Medicaid expansion bill, I voted against it. When the Senate sent over its Medicaid expansion bill, I voted against it. But, we can't just stick our head in the sand and not reform a system that went from 5% of our budget to 20% of our budget. And we've got to do something about getting people off entitlement programs. That's what my program was all about. It was modeled after George Allen's 95 welfare reform bill, which caused the only decrease in welfare spending and Medicaid spending in decades. And honestly, what don't you like about, Mike Pence? Mike Pence did a heck of a job in Indiana, not by expanding Medicaid, but by reforming the process, and that's what we're trying to do as well. So I would argue that what worked for Mike Pence and got him the vice presidency was probably a pretty good policy and a pretty conservative policy, and I'd argue that mine fits right in there as well.
All right, hang with us a second. A sidebar here. I got a text here from Milton in Newport News. Sidebar, not specific to Davis, says, please don't forget that Trump has also removed from the White House all Islamic on Muslim prayer paraphernalia, and the only thing that remains now is a cross in the White House chapel. Just a sidebar, Glenn. Let's get to a couple things going on in the General Assembly. There's a committee meeting today on one bill that I've been following that has lit my phones up in the past several days, and we've talked about it. That is the You Buy a Ticket Resale Act of your colleague, Dave Albo, was on a show. We also had Ben Klein on yesterday who backed this. This is where, in Virginia, if you buy a ticket to any event, concert, basketball, baseball, Redskins, football, college basketball, and you want to sell the ticket or give it away or give it to your daughter because you can't make it or something comes up, the monopolists at Ticketmaster that basically own the whole thing, along with their venue people like Dan Snyder, the Redskins, and people like that, basically say you don't actually own the ticket. You have only licensed it. They won't give you a paper ticket. You can't give it to anybody. If you want to get in, you have to show the electronic version, a credit card, ID, causing lines. Basically, to me, this is a property rights issue. Glenn, if I spend $150 and I buy 2 concert tickets to see whomever, and I can't make it, and I want to give those to my children, right now in Virginia, I'm not allowed to do that because there's no paper tickets. Like, I don't even own it. Albo's bill in the Commerce Committee today trying to say, look, if you buy a ticket, you own the ticket. It's your property. You can do with it as you please. How do you stand on that?
John, it makes all the sense in the world. You know, I'm all about technology, and I think it makes things more efficient. What I hate to see is entities that try to abuse technology to take away people's rights. And that's exactly what's happening here. Since they can now electronically create a ticket, that they don't have to worry about a tangible piece of paper that can be conveyed from person to person, that they can arguably increase their margins because they can stop the conveyance of a ticket to someone else if someone can't make it, which means they can either resell that seat or in some cases the cost of delivery goes down because of other products that may go along with that ticket. So I think it's absurd. I think that bill's going to come flying out of that committee, and I'm extremely supportive of it. It's some of the crazy stuff that we see and that goes on in Virginia. We have to put a quick stop to, and that's one of them, John, and I expect that's going to be the case.
All right. It's just crazy that you can't do this, and I've gotten stories of people that are bubbling up now that they buy a ticket, it's like, and they can't get the paper ticket, they can't transfer it, and the whole thing is ridiculous. And it's just the monopolist trying to gouge the public because they own the venues and then they own the resale methodology. So Ticketmaster trying to say, look, you can send the ticket back. We're going to charge you a 20%, service charge, and then we'll resell it. And that's ridiculous. So if I want to give it to my daughter, I'm just paying an extra 20%. Who does that?
Look, John, they're trying to get that restocking fee, right? You buy a computer, you bring it back, you get a refund less 10%.
Right.
They're trying to figure out how to do that with seats in stadiums.
Right.
I'm all about capitalism, but not when it abuses the typical the common consumer. And when we talk about regulations, and this is a good discussion to have because government staying out of everything, isn't necessarily always the right answer. But I was reading yesterday, and it's a great article. Where the regulations are meant to create a level playing field and stop abuses that create a unlevel playing field, and that's the extent of it. And not picking winners and losers, not allowing for unnatural advantages, and not allowing for the abuse of the public. And that's what we're having in this case. So I think you're going to see that be resolved here in Virginia. But that really is kind of that fine line test of. We have way too many regulations. It's strangling small businesses. It doesn't mean that we don't ever talk about, protecting individuals again. We just have to pick what is proper, and that is things that create level playing fields, that grow the economy, grow small businesses, help create jobs, we need to, let flourish and only consider regulations when it really is in the public's interest in cases, honestly, such as this.
All right, Glenn Davis, we're out of town, running for Lieutenant Governor. Glenn, I'm live tomorrow in John Cosgrove's office, so you want to stop by and talk a little bit about what's going on. We're going to be there from 6 to 10 a.m. I'm not sure I'll be Thursday. We'll figure that out, but Wednesday will be in John's office. I think it's on the third floor of the General Assembly. Please stop by. More information, Glenn, where do people go?
John, we got a new website up at www.davis4lg.com. Love for everyone to come and check it out.
Davis4lg.com. Now, when you're in Richmond, where is Mellow Yellow?
Mellow Yellow, it depends on what we're doing that day. So you can find Mellow Yellow sometimes in Rockingham with me. In the evenings, you're going to find it all around the state of Virginia. When we're back and actually resting for the evening, you can sometimes find us in a Walmart parking lot or a shopping center parking lot. Depends on where the night puts us.
All right, that's going to be it. We thank Glenn Davis. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow, Glenn, and appreciate you being on and appreciate, as always, your unabashed candor. Glenn Davis. Also got a text here from Georgia Newport News who says, Glenn has a good slogan, make Virginia number one again. Thanks for being with us, Glenn.